Hi, this is an audio book review of Robin Sloan's Mr. Penumbra's 24-Hour Bookstore. I'm calling it Reading versus Decoding. Browsing one day in one of Ann Arbor's last remaining bookstores, I came across an intriguing first novel by Robin Sloan. The title, Mr. Penumbra's 24-Hour Bookstore, looked as if it had been hand-lettered over a collection of lemon-yellow rectangles, suggestive of book spines were arranged on rows of shelves. A back cover blurb by Nick Harkway proclaimed it to be a good-hearted, optimistic book about the meeting of modern technology and medieval mystery. The jacket copy made comparisons to the works of Haruki Murakami, one of my favorite novelists, and Umberto Eco. Naturally, I was intrigued, but not enough to part with $25 for a hardcover copy. I went online and discovered that Robin Sloan was a Michigan State alum and former hotshot programmer who began writing the novel after the dot-com bubble burst, leaving him with plenty of time on his hands. The article intimated that the book marked the place where literati meets digerati and a peaceful understanding ensues. When Mr. Penumbra showed up on the Zoom shelf of my local library, I paid my buck and rented it for a week, curious to see how Clay Janin, a down-on-his-luck digital designer, might evolve after he is reduced to accepting work as the night clerk in the eponymous bookstore. Would this digital top gunner be lured back to the world of books, as Sloan himself seems to have been? At first, the odds looked favorable. The mysterious Mr. Penumbra asks, "What do you seek in these shelves?" and asks Clay to tell me about a book you love, by way of a job interview. Penumbra is delighted when Clay describes The Dragon Song Chronicles, a fantasy series featuring a scholarly dwarf and singing dragons that Clay read in the 6th grade. That answer, his ability to climb dizzyingly high ladders, and his promise never to read or even open the books lining the 3-story walls, wins Clay the job. Naturally, Clay soon breaks his promise and discovers that the eccentric customers who use Mr. Penumbra's bookstore like a lending library are checking out volumes written in code with the aim of somehow cracking it. This Clay does, rather easily and accidentally, when he endeavors to design a digital model of the store on his laptop. Eventually, it is revealed that Mr. Penumbra and his customers are members of a secret society bent on discovering the secret to immortality they believe was encrypted into a book by Aldous Manutius, a Renaissance printer credited with inventing italics and the semicolon. As the Broken Spine Society endeavors to preserve their quaint methods for divining this archaic knowledge, Clay and his friends decide to unleash the power of Google's Big Box to solve this ancient mystery. It all gets rather silly after that, but the intrigue had faded much earlier for me when it seemed clear that neither the preservers of the book nor the high-tech hackers had any real interest in reading. They were all decoders. Ironically, the author of the third-rate fantasy series turns out to have broken the code and planted clues to solving it in the 3rd book of his trilogy. Neither Clay nor his creator seems to have imagined a higher purpose for books than this. At one point, a book scanner who works for Google apologizes to Mr. Penumbra for putting bookstores out of business. But of course, Penumbra isn't in the book business after all. Books, boring. Codes, awesome, is the way Clay describes the Google gang's take on literacy. But that could equally be said of most of the Broken Spine Society. Sloan creates an array of appealing characters and sets up an interesting premise, then sends his characters ricocheting through an over-elaborate plot as if they were avatars in a video game. Readers looking for a mildly entertaining story that doesn't require too much of them may be satisfied with Sloan's debut novel. Those who believe that books can and should do more may want to wait until Sloan's gift for repartee and creating imaginative settings can be used in service of a story that appeals to a different kind of reader, one for whom books are boring only when they fail to engage the mind and heart.